The US has imposed severe sanctions on Iran for 47 years and failed to achieve regime change, so how would escalating those sanctions now possibly result in a different outcome? The key development in Operation Economic Outcast is that the US is threatening secondary penalties against any country or entity maintaining trade ties with Tehran, expanding secondary sanctions risks in areas like shipping, technology, digital assets, gold, and aviation, while targeting around 60 entities, individuals, and vessels helping facilitate Iranian trade. No matter how many times Trump claims to have won the war on Iran, the announcement of this operation is the biggest US admission of failure thus far. Unable to defeat Iran militarily, the US is resorting to economic strangulation that could create the domestic conditions for regime change through more covert means. We've seen this before. The January regime change riots in Iran, backed by CIA and Mossad, began as organic protests by shopkeepers struggling due to Iran's financial crisis, then were hijacked into a violent coup attempt. In February, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent gloated that the illegal US sanctions had caused Iran's steep currency inflation, taking credit for the protests. But at the same time, we've seen US sanctions have the opposite effect. After the Ukraine war began in 2022, US sanctions against Russia accelerated de-dollarization and forced the creation of alternative financial systems. The almost 50 years of sanctions on Iran made it become self-reliant and develop its strong domestic weapons industry. The targeting of China for its close economic ties with Russia and Iran pushed China to take a more assertive stance against US dominance, tightening exports, and now even penalizing secondary countries who uphold US sanctions against China, creating a new legal financial architecture for sanctions compliance. China condemned the new economic war on Iran, vowing to defend its own interests, its cooperation with Iran, and international law. So the ball is not just in Iran's court. It's up to every country in the world living under global US financial hegemony to choose whether to bear the costs of upholding that decaying, oppressive system, or to pay a relatively low price, regardless of how high it may initially appear, and allow the emergence of a new counter-hegemonic system to unfold through coordination rather than unpredictable shock, particularly when that transition is increasingly clear and ultimately inevitable. Iran, meanwhile, affirmed that it has been waiting for these plans for a long time, and we also have our own tools and know how to play the game.